All right, we're 4 after. Let's get rolling. So this is the Layer 5 websites meeting. We meet once a week, bright and early on Monday morning when I'm still waking up, which barely stops my lame jokes from coming across. But this is a good warm up for the next call, which is, well, the next call is on WebAssembly filters. So completely, well, almost a completely different topic, but actually potentially somewhat related. And if it's not obvious to you how websites and WebAssembly are related, then maybe go attend the other call and we'll ask that question. I'll explain it. Nice. All right. So it's about 5 after. There's about 10 of us on the call. I know all of us have gotten a chance to say hi before, but there's a couple of us that are new enough. Not everyone has gotten a chance to get to know you. So even though Aman and Zain already introduced on a different call, if you guys haven't introduced on this call, it would be good to do that just momentarily. So, because different people show up to different calls, so it's nice to introduce. So just a couple of quick words, if you guys don't mind.
Yeah, hello. Am I audible?
Sure.
Yeah, okay. My name is Zainuddin Abdul Muiz. I come from Kerala, India, and I'm in my second year of engineering.
Nice. Yeah, now I remember, Zain, that's the same area as Navendu Podakat, I think.
Yeah, right.
All right. Cool. Very good. Very good.
Yeah. Am I audible?
Hey, Aman, you are.
Yeah. So myself, Aman Dwivedi. I'm from New Delhi, India. I'm also in my second year of my college. And yeah, I'm looking forward to contribute to Layer 5. And I've cloned it and I started to look into the good first issue.
Oh, nice. Yeah, Aman, I didn't realize that you were second year. I just assumed you were a little further along.
Yeah. So I have completed my second year. I will be in my third year of the college.
Oh, I see. Got you. Yeah, yeah. That's I say that as a compliment, meaning I just assumed that some of the stuff that you've already been involved in, that you'd already that you were in your last year or maybe even graduating. So congrats. Nice. All right, good. So New Delhi for you. Somebody, some wise ass made a crack about I don't know. There was somebody else in the call said, "Oh, New Delhi is that in India?" And I don't. Everybody laughed, but I didn't really get the joke. So it was, which I guess is like a taste of my own medicine, because a lot of times I'll say a joke that no one else gets. So I guess it was time. Anyway, good. So we've got an agenda lined up. Aditya is up first. Aditya, you want to take it away?
I'll share my screen.
All right.
So I'm pretty sure it's visible. So we'll start with the discuss template. So this is what I've done right now. So the problem, I thought that I would send a couple of test emails before starting out, but I think I think it's blocked for some reason. I have been trying for some time, but it tells me that it's blocked.
Oh, for email, is that what you said?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So that, well, okay, that brings us right into our third topic, which is it's actually currently in the process of that. This site is currently being built on, well, on my laptop that I left inside the house. It's still running. So the email, if you go back to the SMTP section, the settings. So the email address that's being used to send out all the emails is Abhishek Kumar's. Abhishek was a full-time employee at Layer 5. He's living in Bangalore. He just moved out to the US he just moved out. So I'm in I'm in Austin, Texas. He just moved out to Dallas, Texas to go to grad school. And it's a big move, international move. He's going back to school. He's going to have a lot of work to do. So he's going to, and this has been since he was first hired, that was part of the plan for him to head back to school. So he's going to do his master's. And so the point is, he is no longer full-time. He might be part-time. We're going to give him a month to 2 months to figure out what his workload is like at school, and then maybe do part-time. Depends on what he wants to do. So in the meantime, though, he has been off-boarded as a full-time employee. And so that his email address is something that's been decommissioned. So a new one has been put up. And this is something that we should have done a long time ago. We generally don't do the wrong thing. And by this, I mean, it was the wrong thing to ever use his personal email account to set this up. And so as we go to undo that, a new generic email account has been provisioned. It's literally the email address is no-reply@layer5.io. And eventually hopefully later today, when these start to go out, it'll say Layer 5 community. It won't say Abhishek Kumar is sending you emails. So yeah, I guess there's two things that are going on. One is that the current deployment of the site tries to use Abhishek's email address and it gets rejected. Okay. The new version of the site is being rebuilt with those other credentials. And so before the end of the call, this should be corrected.
Okay. So this is the preview right now.
Okay. Nice. So, okay. Yeah, nice.
I actually need to I have to understand how it works, because last day what I had done was the template was ready. So, but I had placed it over here, on the left side of the screen. So when I sent it to myself, everything just clamped up to the left side. So I'm not sure how this is being read, or because I'm not putting in the content is getting placed in self auto. So I need to send a couple of test emails to see how the template is actually working out. Because wait, I had sent myself a test template a couple of days back. I'll show you that.
In terms of the design, there's just a couple of comments to make, irrespective of how it's actually turning out. And I'll tell you that when we go back.
This is what was happening when I sent it out to myself.
Mm.
So I have no idea why, but got to figure that out.
Yeah. Yeah, on the footer, it almost looks like.
Yeah, I know.
Like an unclosed div tag or something somewhere that is messed up the rest of the. Anyway, on your design though, just a couple quick notes. One is, it's only two, and that is, if you would give some consideration to making the Layer 5 discuss a little bit about about a time and a half, maybe.
Got it. Okay.
Then the only other thing I can complain about or offer up a complaint about is maybe to give a little bit of breathing room to the social icons.
Space in between social icons. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
But nice. Yeah. No, that's good. Yeah, this will be a lot nicer. This will be again a customized version of discourse. So it'll feel a lot better when people receive those emails. It won't feel like just people might actually read them, maybe. So that's good.
Yeah. Okay. So moving on, let's talk about the handbook. So there are a couple of issues open on the handbook. So the issues were open before my PR got merged. So for each page there was a separate styling wrapper. So it was code that was not required at all. So what I have done is I have made one wrapper for all the pages so that it's easier to read. In doing so, I have fixed a lot of issues that we have already created. So we have to close some of the issues, and Nikhil added another feature which I'll just show you, which is this. So it's an extendable table of content right now. So this looks quite nice. Yeah, that's what I had to talk about. So whoever is, if anyone on this call is working on the handbook right now, please pull the latest and then start working on it, because we recently had to close a PR because someone was working on individual wrappers. So yeah.
So we should talk about,
yeah, go on.
Yeah, we should talk about the handbook effort for a moment. It's a nice, wait, who did we just lose? Did we just lose?
Nikhil.
Oh, Mr. Sharma. All right. Okay. Hopefully, hopefully he'll come back. I think he occasionally has connectivity. Yeah, there we go. He's coming back. Cool. Okay. Hey, we should talk about this for a moment, because this is actually great. Like, all of you have something to contribute on this, and this is not like, the concept is straightforward. The text is straightforward. You might have text to contribute, you know, like, so like briefly, in the Layer5 community, we've created all kinds of helpful guides. Our initial guide was a Google Doc. It's called the Welcome Guide. Some of you have probably seen it. And then later on we figured out, like, well, maybe there needs to be a newcomer guide, like, just that's even less sophisticated, or just, you know, it has lesser concerns. Okay, so we have a newcomer guide, we have a welcome guide. And then well, we started to have the newcomers meetings. We've got README in the README. We've got contributing.mds in almost all the repos. There's like 50 something, 60 something repos. In there, we've got how to join the communities. And then we've got how to sign off on your commits, how to do developer certificate of origin, DCO, and blah, blah. And there's just like instructions every which way, you know, everywhere. And it wasn't a convoluted mess as much as, and it's not like those artifacts should be taken down. They are very helpful to have as, like, in particular venues, like if you're in the README, or if you're looking for contributing.md, or if you're like, it's good to have those things. But also having it amassed in one central spot that's got an easy reference, layer5.io/community/handbook. We might that's definitely the place where we want to publish it. We might make this might be consideration for any of you to think about. Like, you ever go to, you know, you ever get a shortened, you know, you've all worked with URL shorteners. Some of you have seen custom URL shorteners. So it's like a custom domain where it's not like bit.ly or something else, but a custom domain, and it's pretty short. Well, for Layer5, sometimes you will have noticed that there's kind of a common convention to use something like go dot, are using go as a subdomain. So like go.layer5.io/handbook or / something. And basically anything that's linked to in go dot, it's just a shortcut. It's just a short URL to get to where we're wanting to go. It's and you know, we apply redirects to those. That might be something. Yeah. So Zane, I'll answer that question in just a moment. That's a good question. But that general approach to URL shortening, or not URL shortening, is what, yeah, I guess it's the right way of saying it. As much as like a vanity URL, that might be something for us to do. If some of you are familiar with, I'll give an example of what I mean. So yeah, if you were to visit meet.layer5.io, there technically is no website meet.layer5.io. Like, it redirects to layer5.io/community/calendar #meetings. And I don't think that the hashtag, the # meetings, I don't think that we have an anchor tag on this. Like, this is actually an issue that any one of you might want to pick up and take. Is what was intended to happen is that very frequently we will tell people in the community, hey, why don't you jump into the, or like, hey, where's the meeting minutes, or where's the Zoom link, or where's the, what time are we meeting again? It's like, hey, just, you know, here's a quick reference, both for anyone who wants to share it with others, to give them meet.layer5.io. It doesn't take a lot of, it doesn't hurt your fingertips to type it out. It's short. It also is easy for everyone else to remember. What it's supposed to do when it loads, though, because it'll redirect every time to calendar, # meetings. And that was supposed to, there's supposed to be an anchor on the page that will drop you down to the meetings table. So Aditya, if you scroll down a little bit past the calendar. Yeah, which, have you seen this before, Aditya?
Yeah, I have.
Oh,
but,
okay,
but I keep forgetting about it. I know that it's there.
Yeah, right. No, and that's actually this is a good example though of, it's like, wow, actually all this stuff is at your fingertips. It's like, where's the link to the meeting minutes? What's the Zoom? Where, you know, there's different playlists for different, so, you know, all of us are going to be famous in, you know, like an hour from now when this meeting goes up on YouTube, it has its own dedicated playlist just for the website's meeting. And everybody will laugh at my horrifically backwards New Delhi joke that I still don't understand. But okay, yeah. So anyway, two things. The # doesn't work. If someone wants to drop an anchor in here, that would be great. It would link, the anchor would need to be at the top of this table. Second thing is, this is an example of what I mean by a convenient vanity URL that redirects to something else. So we might want to think about that, like for the handbook, what that might be. And it would be something in general, like go.anything, go.newcomer, go.handbook, go.calendar, go.my-profile, maybe like your profile, if you have a member profile on the site. Anyway, something to think about. But so to what Zane is asking, so the reason that Zane is right that like handbook.layer5.io, oh, you know what? I misinterpreted your question. So if we did handbook.layer5.io as a redirect, oh man, that's a pretty good suggestion, actually. That's like very memorable, quite short. It's hard to get more on point there. Like the only way you could get more on point is if it's layer5.io/handbook, not /community/handbook. We definitely, that's where we want it to be published, /community/handbook. That's the most appropriate place. It's just long to type out, you know, like if you're like me, I mean, that's like an extra, what, like 7 letters to type out, however long community is, was it 7, 8 letters? I mean, that's, and then you had the slash in there too. It's like, oh.
It was actually bigger. It was community/handbook/about.
Okay. Yeah. Holy cow. Oh my gosh. What?
Is there a reason why this is yellow? Like,
it's just that like that's the big meat. That's like the one, that's the default sort of catch-all. If you come here and you don't quite know, you know, I don't know.
Another thing that I wanted to add is, are we going to have a landing page for the handbook?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, sure. But also, yes, if we can get it right.
So for now, we can remove the arrow. Like if we want people to see the handbook right now, so we can remove the arrow, and I think it's about good to go. It's like I've read it through. It's not bad. Like it's not something that we need to hide anymore. But we need to remove the arrow. Then okay. Now the arrow doesn't go anywhere. Okay. So we don't, but it doesn't go anywhere. So it doesn't make sense for it to be there.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. If we put instead of about, if it says community handbook, then yeah, this is pretty good. Like it is a little bit, well, again, like I was talking about how bad my fingertips hurt when I have to type out like 7 more letters. I mean, just imagine how hard my brain has to work if I actually have to read text when I land on something. So to your point about a landing page, it might be nice. There's an image that some of you have seen. There's this sign that like 3 people are standing behind, and it says Layer 5 community, or this is Layer 5, and there's a few people standing behind it. And anyway, we could put that here as just like across, it wouldn't be a dedicated page just to the landing of, it wouldn't be a dedicated landing page, but it would also give people the sense that they are on the start of the thing.
I think that image is on the community page as a call out or something.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the image that I'm talking, it's definitely, by the way, for all of you who aren't familiar with this just yet, some of you are, in our shared drive, the community shared drive, there's a folder called websites, logos, and assets, I think. And it is just that. There's lots of images, lots of the content and assets to all the sites are in the community drive. So if you ever are looking for a fresh piece of content, or you need access to the actual logos, or like, you'll generally find them there. You can, yeah. To Deborah Priya's point, I'm sure that it is somewhere on the site. I'm gonna do this.
It's slash brand, not wrong.
Yeah, or just slash brand. Yeah.
Yeah, you can download the brand kit here.
Or just the individual logos.
Yeah.
So not everything that you might want is here, like that sign I was just talking about, but this is quite helpful. There's one thing that's not linked to in here, and I don't know that we would link to it, but again, if you go to the shared community drive, there will be a slide deck that talks, it's the Layer5 brand guide. So it talks about typography, it talks about who we are, it talks about our culture, who we're, who we're trying to speak to. So that's also a good thing to digest. It has colors and color schemes.
We also need to add a couple of logos to the brand kit. Like there's no discuss logo. There are like some of these logos, there are only in like the jungle green color, not in the white color. I have already made them, so we can just put them inside if you'd like.
Okay, yeah. Wait, here's something. Don't. So that's good, but these are super sensitive. You should never modify them, or even though you probably did it very well and stuff, like even then, nope. Like that's part of the thing, is like there are rules around these, so they. That's actually upholding those kinds of rules is how we build goodwill, or how we maintain goodwill. So there, yeah.
I have made, this is not a part of our brand kit.
Okay, yeah, then we definitely have to replace it. We just have to, like by principle, you have to replace it. So we have those, the PNG and the SVG versions of that.
But we don't have one in white.
Okay.
We have only the one in black.
Cool. By the way, when you did that, did you do that? And by the way, that's not because I'm being freakishly power mongering or what have you. It's more like it's just to ensure the consistency of, well, like RGB versus CMYK, or just like there's just the specifics around it is important. So, but Aditya, I mean, like from what I can see, it looks like I can't tell that there's anything wrong with it, and other than the fact that like between the distance, the horizontal distance between the vertical pipe on each side, I think is slightly different. Maybe it's like, it looks like there's a little bit more on the discuss side, but anyway,
I have put it into this, like I found a website where it makes like, it changes colors of logos. So I just uploaded this file and then made it white. That's it. I haven't done anything else.
Sure. Yeah. And if it was an SVG, like well, even if it was a PNG, like if that's white, then, but anyway, okay. That's what I was going to actually ask, was if you were using a tool, if any of you are skilled with Illustrator, then we should talk, because there's a lot of things to do with vector art. So by the way, is anybody comfortable with Figma or Illustrator? in terms of visual design? And if not, that's okay. It's not. Okay, I'm on. Oh yeah, I'm on. That's right. You'd said that. That's good. I need to show you a couple of things in Figma to give you some room to play, because there's a ton of things that need to be done. So let me change the subject a little bit. Let me hit on a couple of things that I think will be that are relevant and it won't take long. I think we have enough time on the agenda to speak to some of these as well. For whatever reason. Good. All right. So one thing it just so happens that last night I sent out an email to a mailing list called, I know this is kind of small, I'm trying to blow it up, to an email to a mailing list that we have called, what's going on? That's as big as it will get. Okay. It's called the Community Managers at Layer5.io. And there's about, I don't know, 30 or more people who are on the list. And so there's a couple of you that are on the call that are on this list because you perform this role. But since we're talking about email templates and since we're talking about the Layer5 Community Handbook, I figure we can talk about this for just a moment. That when, for most of you, or for all of you, when you've joined, you will have hopefully gotten an email that looks kind of like this, like you might have gotten a slightly outdated version. And so recently this one's been enhanced a little bit to just cleaned up. So cleaned up because I don't know that this was the background that we were using earlier. I think we're using kind of a lot of blue. So I just cleaned it up to refresh it. And this just is whenever someone joins the community, joins Slack, or when they go to the Layer5.io site and they sign up for the newsletter, they get this general welcome email saying, come visit us. We're talking at these events. We're giving workshops. Here's the projects that we work on. Now notice that Get Nighthawk is not here. So that'll need to come in here. It's a good note to take. We write some books. And then, it doesn't tell them everything. It doesn't say, here's the interactive labs. Here's, I don't know, there's a lot of stuff to talk about, but it's like you don't want to give people a novel to read necessarily. And then it sort of ties off with the same thing that Aditya is going through. And so, okay, good, fine. By the way, if anybody has, comments or feedback, but then about what's changed now is about a day later, there's a second email that will be sent to the newcomer. And the second one is more about how to contribute, how to participate. And here's that image that we were talking about earlier. And so it attempts to, well, like a lot of this stuff you will have seen elsewhere. This is the same content, but just being sent an email to let people know that, oh, if they can't get to this, oh, by the way, anyway, if they can't get to this, they should fill in a member form, or if they want to see the community calendar, go here. That's fine. That's good. But maybe more importantly, what it talks about is like, and this shouldn't just be for Meshry. It's just that we have this most well written for Meshry, but it's like literally how to contribute to Meshry. So what are all the components? And it'll take you to the docs for each one. And what are the contributor guides for each one? And that's it. There are other things that people might want to know or need to know. And that's like, I just mentioned one of them, which is the interactive labs. Eventually it's the learning paths. Another one can be like, what is a meshmate and how to spend time with one, and or other things. Yeah. Oh, okay. Does this not exactly work well on mobile? Wonder. In concept, yeah, it's hard to tell.
Yeah, so on my phone, I don't know if it's visible. It's getting, okay, I'll send a screenshot on Slack. It's getting a little,
Meshed up.
yeah, a little messed up.
Okay, cool. Well, we kind of digressed for a while. I wanted to, I'll paste these links in to our meeting minutes, just to the extent that that's of interest to people. So if you look at these, this isn't for, I didn't go through all that so that you can be talked at. Rather, I went through it to say, if you have suggestions, or if you want to work on those, like, please do. It is very related to the community handbook as well, which, yeah, I'm hoping that it becomes a very good reference. Something like, a lot of people end up having the same question, like, which makes a lot of sense. But I'm hoping that individual pages can be referenced as well. So if, I don't know, let's say that someone says, what do they say? It's like, hey, what all technologies are used here? Or like, where can I get a list of all of the projects? And by the way, we should be exposing what tech is being used, because that was actually a large part of the point, if we can. Like the Google Doc that has this, ideally, so let's put this as a to-do item in this Google Doc. So one, we can publish this onto that page. That would be great. This is, I think, helps give people an understanding as to, or a sense of how these things interrelate, what their purpose is, and how some of them, or most of them, orbit Meshery. But basically all this info, all this helpful info is missing. It's like having the list of hyperlinks is not so helpful, because you can just browse GitHub for that. But what is more helpful is this short description. So we lost a lot of value, I think, on this page. We also lost the explanation that it's not, it's like 4 or 5 GitHub orgs. So there's a Meshery org, a service mesh performance org, and what's in each of those. Okay, so in the handbook. Cool. That's a great thing for someone to take on. We should do that thing. If you guys can help take notes a little bit, this would be great. Like, we should change the about to, we should probably remove that backwards caret, or the back caret,
I just wanted to add in. So for the handbook, a lot of people are working on refining the content, like on the document. So once that completes, we can shift it to the Layer5 website. So in that case, a lot of the content will change eventually, because right now they're working on the document. So that is why it looks a little incomplete, but we'll add the new content soon.
Okay. That's good to hear. Because yeah, so like here, like, gosh, I can't tell you how long it's taken me to do these stupid logo designs, like how long it takes for me to, but so having that on the page somewhere, that would be great. Like,
yeah, you even mentioned to change the carousel or that navigating thing. So we'll look into that as well.
okay. By the way, when we do get, Deborah, this might be something for you to confirm in the doc. Like there's a couple of mentorship programs that I suspect aren't necessarily well represented. Yeah, so there's 2. So one is Meshmates. Meshmates is it's a shorter program. It's about helping onboard people and making sure that they get an initial foothold, that they're successful in the community, that they're warmly welcomed, that they have some place to go to get their questions answered. That's a program that should be represented. The other program is, there's any number of people who've directly interned with Layer5 and not through a partner program. And so I don't think we have layer 5 represented either.
Oh no, it isn't here. We can add that in.
Okay. Can someone take that note about those two things and maybe the other note about the navigation? Cool. Okay, we already talked about.
The mesh meets are mentioned in the community page, but we can also put that over here as well because it is important.
Nice. Josh, I made a quick note. I don't know if you were here. So we're switching out the email address that's used to send emails on Discuss. And that's in process of being changed right now. So.
Okay. So
right,
on the same note, like the two repos that have been configured for those templates, I think we'll have to change bit names because I think it's discuss board solutions and discuss board topics, right?
I think so.
So I think we'll have to name it as like it should be more generic related to a plugin or something because
it's a plugin.
yeah.
Sure,
Not a plugin,
yeah.
it's a like it's what I would theme, it's a theme, it's a component. So I'll let you know in chat, no problem with that.
Nice. Okay. Gotcha. All right, good. So another topic we had was Vinayak is here. Vinayak, I don't know that everyone is even familiar with the Get Nighthawk site that you maintain. Do you want
to? I had one more agenda left.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so this is just small. It's just going to take me 2 minutes. Sorry, Vinayak. So can I just share my screen?
Okay.
Sure. Yeah. So I took an issue for making the service mesh patterns web page on meshery.io, but meshery.io was not working for me till now. So I started off today. But if somebody wants to, try their hand at Figma and send some designs in, so that would be really helpful. So this I just started this before the meeting started, so it's very basic right now. This is what I've done. So also, Lee, if you could tell me what if there is more information that I need to add to this, or is it just for patterns?
Yeah, dedicated to patterns. This is great. So there's a forthcoming capability in Meshery that it'll be pervasive to how Meshery works. Meshery will, it'll let people pull from a catalog of predefined patterns. Patterns are basically templates of behavior. Like if you want a service mesh to perform a canary or to split traffic, or like that, you can pull from this catalog of these predefined templates. You can apply them directly, or you can customize them. And each one, there'll be about 60 patterns. Each one should carry its own visual icon to kind of represent what it's doing. Each one will have its own set of YAML. And each one will also have a little bit of a description as to what is a duration-based canary versus what is a blue-green canary or whatever. And so, yeah, the catalog will be fairly well referenced. It'll be pretty important. As a matter of fact, we're going to talk about service mesh patterns. We're giving a talk at KubeCon. Actually, it's not just KubeCon, it's Service Mesh Con here in a month or two. And so, yeah, if this is there, we'll definitely reference it. But yeah, think about it like that, if you would, that a catalog of templates, they have a name, they have a short description, they have a logo or an icon, and then they have the actual YAML file itself. The YAML and where they will be published to and potentially programmatically referenced from, like when you run Meshery and you're looking at what patterns are loaded in Meshery, you might not have very many. And if you want to source additional patterns, well, you might want for Meshery to pull those from the catalog. Right now, the catalog, and so the location for that is on github.com/service-mesh-patterns. And so, yep, this is good. I mean, I think you're headed in the right direction.
And
yeah.
are there more patterns like this? Like I have just taken this and then inverted it.
Yeah, there is. So yeah. So if we can do this, it's probably easier for me to share than it is for me to. So here's an example of a circuit breaker pattern and how what that might look like visually. That there's a circuit here where traffic is flowing. If you break it intentionally, then that's how you do that, is the circuit breaker pattern. So this is an example of how that same design diagram might change. In terms of like, hey, where are all the rest of the other patterns? They're in process of being developed. Some of them have been, or some examples have been published to discuss.layer5.io. Some of the rest of them are being published to the service mesh patterns repo. But most of them are not published. Most of them are not. So then where can you find a list in advance of them all being published? And by the way, they will literally also be published in a book that's being written now. This is the list. So there's these different patterns. Most of them, almost all of them, there's the circuit breaking one. None of them have any visual diagrams. So yeah, as you get into this, like this would be good just to grab this list. There's a Google sheet that has these in them that might be easier to work with. They're categorized. So that could be another thing in the catalog that you're working on, Aditya, that you could maybe filter based on category.
Yeah, okay.
Nice, okay. All right, I think we're back to Vinayak. I was gonna say the Discuss site. Okay, good, it came back. Yeah, I think there's a couple that are published out here, service mesh patterns, but there's only a handful and they're early samples. So, okay, back to Vinayak.
Hi everyone. So the agenda for this topic is basically that we have a Get Nighthawk website at getnighthawk.dev, and it is short of some contents to be added to the docs section specifically, and there are a couple of more sections as well which require addition of a few contents like the FAQ section. Yes, Lee has opened the docs page. So basically, we might require a little bit of reformatting of how the section looks and how it looks in the mobile view. There are a couple of issues in the mobile view in the doc section, and we also require to add a few content from like these sources over to the doc section of Get Nighthawk.
Put a link to, so content for the docs. The README there is, like Vinayak is saying, is a great source of reference. There's also the fact that Meshery uses Nighthawk internally, that can also be described. You can run a performance test from Meshery CTL that can use Nighthawk, that could be described. Some of this is just regurgitating documentation from Meshery docs over here.
Lee, I wanted to ask, like right now we have section 1, section 2, section 3 as a placeholder text in the doc section. So what would be the preferred structure if we started to move actual content to the docs? Like I think we might require section 1 and all those names to change to something else.
Yeah, it might be, well, it might be that there is like a getting started or an install, and there's kind of two ways. So that might be one section. And rather than explaining what those are, maybe I'll just, that's one section. Another section might be, well, might be like about the project and how to get involved, where the mailing lists are, where the community meets, who the maintainers are potentially, or, and then another section might be really just about like that README that we were looking at, just like what is Nighthawk itself capable of. It looks like some of that is being published here. This is really good. And
Yeah,
so
initially I added this as a placeholder to like test out how it is coming up.
so it's kind of like architecture slash functionality, like Nighthawk functionality is kind of what's being described. Those top level sections like that are, you know, are somewhat universal. Like just even taking Meshry docs as an example, there's an overview slash quick start, concepts and functionality, and then like about the community or about the project. Like those three sections might, you know, might get us going, might work for now.
Okay, so basically a getting started section, about section, and like then overview section.
Started overview. This kind of is like installation. Another one being
About.
For now, these meetings are one and the same of the service mesh performance project. Like that's really where we end up talking about Get Nighthawk. So if we go back to meet.layer5.io, service mesh performance meeting minutes here. Hopefully this is correct. Yeah, this is correct. These are, we just met a few days ago. So good. Yeah, potentially new FAQs. Like, yeah.
Okay. I also noticed like a few mobile view related issues. Like we have solved the major ones, but still there are a few related to the font size and everything. I think Anshuman Diman is working on it. Other than this, we also had a few extra sections planned for Get Nighthawk in the Get Nighthawk docs. Basically a video section and a feature section. So like, do we want those in the as a separate section on the homepage, or is it okay like if we go and include it in the docs itself?
Yeah, I mean, I think the original thought is that they would be potentially their own sections that you might navigate to. The reality is, and this is in part why they were postponed, is because like, how many videos do we have today? Not very many. How many video, like, do we have enough content for each of those sections? So up until the point that we do have lots and lots of recordings and videos, etc. Like, yeah, just interlacing some of those into the docs is probably what makes sense. Like, yeah, if in the docs there's an example, or if there's example usage, like for now, just yes, I think is two answers. Like one, when we originally thought of it, it would have been its own separate location, since we don't have enough content, just integrating into the existing pages is probably what makes sense.
Yeah, I think integrating it with the docs would be the best, because the resources, example implementation, and all these are well suited in the docs.
Makes sense. Nice. So good. Does questions or comments on Get Nighthawk? So it's one of our younger projects. We are about to kick off a C++ centric effort within Get Nighthawk. Nighthawk itself is written in C++, and it is extensible. We want to write a plugin that should be popularly referenced. It should be pretty interesting. But yeah. So we'll be discussing that on the Service Mesh Performance call in 2 weeks. Actually, that'll actually be the topic of discussion. So, okay, moving on. Aditya, just before we come back to you, Debapriya, do you want to give an update?
Yeah, I'll share my screen.
Okay.
Yeah, so this was the recent PR. I added one to the blog page. This is a small one. So both of these got merged, like the previous one and this one got merged yesterday. This is for the discuss. And another thing which I had was the mail template. I sent you an email, but I don't know why you did not receive it. So this is what I've made till now. I also wanted to confirm, like I sent it to Anton as well and Aditya as well. But only I thought this one was supposed to be like filled later on, but am I supposed to write 2021 here in the current year place, or will this get auto generated?
Lee, you're on mute.
Thank you. Yep. Yeah. Thank you. It gets auto merged. And so thanks for this. The ask here. So the thing that Debapriya is working on is the fact that, well, there's any number of things for us to email people about, like, because there's a lot of stuff that goes on, and we've been really bad about sending people emails. And consequently, there's a lot of stuff that we do that people don't know about, and that's not good. One of the things that we did was we just gave a CNCF webinar last week. And so it's still fresh. It's still something good that people should go check out. And Debapriya was noting that and trying to get, she's drafted an email that will let people know that, hey, they can come, they should go watch it. And so, yeah, this is pretty close to the mark. Like one thing that's maybe more engaged, like, so people get tons of emails. Sometimes they read them, sometimes they don't. If they glance at them, or if they do look at them, often it's just a glance. If what we have is an image that shows a recording, that shows maybe the thumbnail of the YouTube video, that's somewhat compelling because it's the mesh map thumbnail. Like that'll probably get a couple of clicks.
Yeah, I've added the YouTube here, so I can add a image in between, look more appealing.
Yeah. And then in this case, we'll end up dropping probably the rest of the text, or most of the second half of that text, because we want to be short and sweet and say, come check us out. Or like the goal of this one is, the main message is come look at the latest and greatest of Meshery. And it's being highlighted in the CNCF. We're in the spotlight is kind of the message. Subsequent to that, yeah, it can be things like, oh, hey, did you know the latest version of Meshery is v0 5. Something? Here's what you can expect in the v0.6.0 release, which is like stuff on the roadmap. Debapriya, even though some of what I just said, you're like, okay, that sounds great, but I actually know what went into the last release, and I'm not quite sure what's going into the next one, like one, I can answer those, point you to some resources, but even at that, it's okay for you to just like to just have a heading that's like, latest release, and like, and just have placeholders for what would be in there, and upcoming release placeholders for what would be in there.
Okay.
And in this case, yeah, if you scroll down a bit more, good, or all the way, I guess. Okay, oh, got it. Okay, that is the end. Okay, and then at the top is so we have the CNCF logo. Great. What's the topmost? Okay, layer 5. And then, okay, yeah, good. Yeah, yep. You're on you're tracking well. Good. I don't know why I didn't get the email either. Did you? But I don't think that I did. But certainly try it again. Anyway, here's the. Anybody else work in Mailchimp before? We're using Mailchimp for this. Mailchimp's confusing and kind of pain in the rump. One thing that it'll do on you is when you do send out a test email, it will format that differently, slightly, than when you send out a campaign email. Like when you're just doing a one-off test versus when you're going to send it to 3,000 people, which is really frustrating because it's usually when you send it to 3,000 people, then you realize it was different, and then you're, But Devopriya, good. Hopefully that little bit of feedback helps. It is like, that is the main message, but yeah, having a couple of other smaller messages like, have you tried our interactive labs? Do you know that Discuss is a thing? I think that that small advert that you and Aditya had created is it's quite pretty, and actually works well in potentially in an email like this as well. Like, come engage with us, come join the conversation, or whatever it says, like.
So you want me to change this into shorter and crisper?
Yeah, actually, from where it's like, check out the YouTube recording here, is like everything below, probably just cut. The first part.
Maybe I can add pictures to the books and workshops and then leave them to it. Or do you want me to remove it completely?
I do think that that's a good idea about the books. It's actually a good idea about the interactive labs, and there's like actually a lot of things. And now that we're starting to get the gears in motion with the emails, maybe we'll leave the books out of this one and have that as the next update and the next update. And then because we want to build a consistent cadence, a kind of tempo to the emails, and to have, and so, yeah, if we keep it short and sweet on this, then we'll get the books ready for that. But yeah, let's get going on.
This part is all right?
No. But and that's like, okay, so the reason that this isn't quite is because, like, well, the first message is, hey, we're in the spot, Meshry is in the spotlight. Come learn about the latest and greatest. Come get a sneak peek at MeshMap or something like that. And then if down below what we're saying is, oh, by the way, Meshry is this such as, like, it might make sense that we could re-explain what Meshry is. But we might want to phrase it as such, like, not familiar with Meshry or haven't seen Meshry in a while, like, and then yeah, kind of explaining what you're saying. The reality is that, like, that first paragraph, that first statement in there is the webinar introduced Meshry. So we definitely do not want to make it sound like there's a couple of things. Like, one, I wouldn't say go check out YouTube because it's like, oh, anybody can go. It's not special. What is special is the CNCF venue that we've used. It's like, check out the CNCF's hottest new project. There, boom, that sounds a little bit better. And don't bother with YouTube. Also, when we don't want to talk about in the past tense, like this webinar introduced, like you can go back in time and catch up on old stuff. It's like, who's got time for that? Like, no. Hey, it's happening now. Check out the hotness. Also, it doesn't just provision 9 different service meshes, it provisions 10. So someone cut us short. And anyway, this is all, you're doing fantastic. This is all stuff that as the longer that you hear, the more of the more of this stuff will the more of this stuff will come natural, or the more of it will also have individual snippets. Like if we do want to talk about books, like, okay, at some point we'll have formatted a small widget or section that talks about the books, and that can be reused on occasion in different emails. And kind of the same thing you've got here describing Meshry is like, good. This is a good, like, just intro blurb to Meshry. It's actually good. The formatting of the small boxes, that's a great idea to have like individual like call outs for like, come, click here for these other resources. We'll want to give that a little more padding, and it's unequal at the moment. Like there's more padding down below than there is up top. But in general, we want to give the whole thing like a 1.5 or a 2 rem padding internal to that.
Yeah,
And which means,
I'll do
good. But I'm just glad that we're getting in and making and doing stuff, making a mess, because that means that we'll have these conversations and we'll iterate, and eventually we'll have like a bunch of these different things. Because by the way, Meshry went into the CNCF and we didn't tell anybody. I literally haven't tweeted that yet. Not that my tweets are, the way that we tell people, but I just mean like even something as simple as that, I didn't even do. So that means, wow, there's actually a lot of stuff that we need to go tell people about Meshry and SMP being in the CNCF, and what does that mean? What have we done? Why are they there? And like, there's a bunch of stories to be told. So this is good. I'm not convinced that Mailchimp is the right platform. It's convoluted, it's expensive, and they only want to anyway, I'll complain about it at a different time. But so thank you for this. There's a little bit of feedback for you as you iterate. Just ping me whenever, and we'll collaborate. We'll iterate toward getting one out. And yeah, I think we can do that this week for sure. We can get one out.
Yeah, okay. I'll let you know.
Nice. Thank you. That area of focus is open to others if you're interested. So, okay. I know we're over time a little bit. Anything that we didn't quite get to?
I had a topic that's the programs on Meshry website. Like there was this issue open for changing the community bridge to LFX. So we did it on the main page, but for the individual programs page, it's left. So I asked while reviewing whether if we have to do it on the, can you just scroll a bit up? Oh, not this much.
Oh, sorry. Oh, a bit up. Okay.
Yeah. So I'd ask you if you can confirm whether we'll have to change it on the programs page as well.
Yeah, please, if you would, just because it's a little bit awkward because it's no longer community bridge. Technically, when we did it, it was community bridge, but I think it's probably only confusing to try to differentiate. We should just call it LFX. Yeah.
Okay, then we'll change the content inside as well, wherever it is written community bridge, and the logo and everything to LFX, right?
Please.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Josh, also, like, I don't know, as you look at like this, it doesn't get any more ugly than this, man.
That's what I said. I thought we were looking for a new design because Anurag, he asked me if he should change it over here too. I thought we would be redesigning the page, so I told him let's hold off for now.
No, the thing is, we'll hold up till we have someone. Like, we are short of visual designers, so.
Yeah. So Aman, this is like without, yeah, Aman, that's not a bad suggestion that like, but so Aman, this is potentially one of those areas in Figma that you might want to try your hand at. Like I don't think you can do any, well, for sure you can't do any harm by giving it a shot. So if for those that are potentially unfamiliar a little bit in Figma, there are two design files, I think is what they're called. So one of them is for, I think that one of them is for a lot of the websites that we have. It's called the Layer5 designs. When you first go in, it says, hey, if you're going to work within here, please try to do it like this. So, but then on these individual, I know this is super small font. I don't know that I can't blow this part up, but so here's the Nighthawk project. Like, what does that site look like? I don't know if the meshery.io site is in here. I don't think so. These are the meshery pages on layer5.io. So the meshery.io site, it is in this other design file. There's a page called site meshery.io. So I'm on, like, if you'd like to, oh yeah. So there isn't a different design already proposed. And this is a step forward, I think.
No.
No, okay, then maybe it's not a step forward. So
No, like
anyways,
the thing is, this green is overriding the logo colors more. I don't think it should be there.
gotcha. So this is the place, here is where people can iterate. When you do iterate, like if you would just, is to make a copy of what's there. So if ultimately, if Josh is saying like, hey, he doesn't think this is going to work, eventually this will probably land down here in the archive. We do want to keep the work. We want to be able to say, when someone says, hey, why don't we just color that green that way? And then Josh can say, well, here's what that looks like. And maybe we should, or maybe we shouldn't, but we don't, but yeah, if you would, as you go to work on a draft, is to just make a copy of it, kind of follow the rules, if you will, here. Because Figma, while it's a collaboration tool, it's pretty free form in terms of like, so cool. Anybody have comments on?
Anybody skilled in Figma or want to try Figma? We have so much of things to do.
Now recently you shared the Figma file link and I was exploring all the Figma files. So I would just like to know, like, there are many pages, so from which I should start? Like you currently mentioned this meshery.io. This is the page from which I should start. I just want to think what are the pages which need to be revamped and improved.
So yeah, this is the meshery.io page, and where we'll start with the programs page, I guess, right, Aditya? I think Aditya will be coordinating. He's been working on meshery since long. So.
Wait, are you talking about me?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think we may start with the programs page. If there's not something else important for designing Lee.
It's the right place to start, because I'll just be forthright with everyone. For as much feedback as I was giving Devopriya, she's doing like she's doing well to have only been given that much feedback. What I mean to say is that most of us that are here are pretty terrible at visual design. So to be frank, like Aman is just a good test to see if it's going to work out or not on you doing visual design, or you doing, whether it's visual design or if you want to think of it as just wireframing, like you don't have to, it doesn't have to, but most of the time it doesn't work out. So this is just a good test there. I'm trying to be as direct, as forthright as possible. So it's a relatively simple enough thing to start with. It is something that we do want redesigned. There is a different site design here, which is pretty. I don't know that it's any more pretty than what we have, though. I do know that what we have is quite long. And, I won't go into the rest of it, but point is, yeah, this is a good place to start. Well,
Okay, then we'll set up this agenda for the next week. Like Aditya, if you can coordinate with Aman, and then we can get some new design or even implementation if possible for the next Monday. Cool.
Nikhil, by the way, I mean, like the guy, Nikhil Sharma, who's on the call, he had more or less taken this. As a matter of fact, I think his pull request is still open. He had taken this and implemented it. It's a good thing to go look at. Like, it poured Nikhil because I think he did a good job on implementing this. The question was, is this better? And maybe it is. Some stuff can be condensed. Like that's, yeah, I mean, like, this is nice. There's definitely some things that are here that are better. Part of what this looks like though is like, oh, this is starting to look pretty similar to the layer5.io website. It's like, well, it is Layer5's baby, but it is its own human person. It's its own project.
Yeah, I think the last sections more bring it more towards Layer5, like the stay machine subscribe. So we have similar thing. So probably a few things will drop out from that. I'll have a look at the PR as well.
Okay. Sounds good. All right, fair enough. Anything else for today?
I'll also try to get the leaderboard by the next week because I was occupied in like starting of this college. So that's why I got this delay, but I'll try to make it by next week for sure.
Cool. Nice. Yeah, nice.
I have just one query. Like, I was facing some error in the code. Like, shall I share my screen?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So is it visible?
Okay, so this can be ignored.
Yeah, because whenever I was running this make run local, I was getting all these errors and all the duplicate codes.
Are you working on Meshri UI?
Yeah, I was just cloning this repo and trying to play with it locally.
Okay, these are like these are just the codes which can be ignored. Like the server has already kicked off, I think.
Yes, because here it do tells that it is listening on.
Yeah.
081. But I was not sure if it is some configuration error. Okay.
No, not to worry about that.
Okay, then it's good. Also, I found that this guide is pretty much outdated for the WSL part, especially. Like, I'm using it in WSL, so maybe we could improve that as well.
And and this guy, that's great. And this guide should be from the perspective of the user, not from the perspective of the contributor.
Yes, because initially I was getting some more errors, like it was not able to automatically detect my configuration. So I was initially getting all the errors in the setting page. It was saying that it cannot directly detect my settings even after uploading the config file. So I have to do many workarounds for that. And then when I uploaded my cube config file, it worked. Like, it doesn't work on the normal Chrome. You have to open any browser like Firefox inside the WSL part like this and then upload. So yeah, there are some tricks and cats there.
So just a question, like as Lee was asking, are you trying to run it on developer mode and facing those issues, or are you facing those issues when you're trying to run on user mode, like downloading the package and then running it?
I have built it from source. Like, I have cloned the GitHub repo and then I have run this make run local command.
Okay, so I think then like whatever the instructions that are mentioned on the docs, that are for basically someone who is downloading the package and like the user. So probably they would not be facing those issues. Still will like Lee can look into it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So it's highly likely that the instructions need to be updated. Like, don't take my questioning as questioning of, of pushing back, rather just confirming that. So confirming this, that most likely there's a networking challenge where individual, like Kubernetes is running, Meshery is running. They either can't literally talk to one another over the network, or the kube config file for that Kubernetes instance, it might not have certificate data, which might have been the other challenge. The challenges do change depending upon whether or not you're running Meshery as a user, which means that you would have deployed Meshery in a container, which then comes with its own networking. Or if you're running Meshery as you've compiled it on the machine, then it would be running in a different network. And so both of those, like, it's important for us to have both of those types of instructions. One is more for the user if you're deploying in a container. The other one is more for the contributor if you're doing it outside the container. And so, but yeah, please do suggest updates, and like, I'm sure that it could be more clear, or that there's different ways to solve it as well if there is a networking challenge. So
Like there were many other errors as well.
yeah, right. No, yep. And so it cannot, that's saying like Meshery cannot talk to Kubernetes, which is exactly what you're seeing in the UI. And so Meshery cannot install the operator either because it can't talk to Kubernetes. And so, yeah, it all revolves around the same thing, like Meshery server cannot speak to Kubernetes. And that's either a networking thing or, I mean, it's most likely networking, that within your WSL2 environment, wherever Meshery is sitting, it can't talk to Kube API. Eventually, see where it's got the kube root CRT, the certificate. Yeah, if in your kube config, the certificate data needs to be in your kube config. So I don't know if you had to flatten it to get that in there.
Like here.
So especially for Minikube will have this issue where in the kube config, it doesn't have certificate data, the actual certificate info. It has a link to the file system to where you can find that. And often Meshery can't go find it because it isn't given permission to do so. So if you look at the Minikube docs, you'll find commands to flatten the kube config.
Okay, sure, I will see it. Because I was
But-
just not sure, like, is it only for me or is it a known error? Because when I tried to search for the initial top errors in the, like, these error codes which were present there in the UI, I was not able to get any good lead. Like here for the, we have an error code list, but there none of the error was mentioned. So that's why I wanted to know, like,
Right. Yeah. Those other errors that you were seeing initially, those are red herrings because that just has to deal, that was more like because you were compiling it. And but yeah, your actual issue lies between kube config and networking. And yeah, as you're going through, many of these don't have enough description. So if you're learning new things, yeah, updating the docs is a great thing to do.
Yeah, sure. So I will try to look into it and I will try to fix it for me, and then I will see if I can update the doc as well. So yeah.
Yeah. Do have a look at the Minikube install guide in Meshery docs. That'll, if you haven't seen that, that might help.
Yeah, sure. I will look into that.
Cool.
Okay,
Very
I
good.
think we can move on. There's just one question last by Zain Abdul. I like if we can take it for 2 minutes.
Yeah, I'll keep it short and fast.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, we didn't get it.
Can I share my?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that visible?
Coming up. Yeah, it is visible.
Okay, presently the Meshery subscribe page is like this. There's only one newsletter, so I had to add the email list. I worked out on few designs, starting from the basic one. Here, this is just the basic buttons. We have 5 mailing lists. So this was a basic one. Then it looked too much. This so much of space taken around. So I also just tried putting it on straight line, which doesn't look that great. I also tried doing it in a container. So this is how the third one looks like. And finally, what I worked out on is making it something like this. So
yeah, the last one definitely looks nicer. We do want to make sure that we retain the form that people can submit to sign up to the newsletter.
yeah, my form is available here. Yeah, so this is a form. Okay, 1 minute. Right here. There is form here, and the mailing list will be below. I also changed color just because this one was taking this color, so I changed it to this. So we also have an option of keeping everything this green, or we just rather go with the website. So maybe this, or we can go with green.
Yeah, it looks great. Like this way looks great. I mean, whatever, as long as you're being consistent with the current coloring of the buttons, then we're good.
Okay, so we can keep the gray one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's it.
Nice. It's great.
Okay, I think
So-
yeah, please go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, that's good. Good.
I'm just asking, like, if then if you are ready with this, you can raise a PR. Maybe whatever feedback we have, we can add it to the comments over there, because we're already over time here. So
Okay, sure. I love it.
yeah, thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Have a
Bye, guys.
great
Thank you,
night.
Josh.
Bye-bye.
Thank you all.